Oh, okay. Well, what we're going to do is we are going to do a simple, very simple animation. We're basically going to create an object and attach an animation to that object in Unity. So often the simplest way to do this is to basically find some animation that you want to put into the scene, start from scratch, start from a blank page, and say, okay, here's the animation I want to use. And now here I'm going to use the Tiny RPG Forest, which is a free asset pack from the Unity store. Um, and within it, if you go down and you look for artwork, you'll see there are sprites, miscellaneous, and here's one set of sprites called Enemy Death. And this is a number of different files, and they're meant to be sort of this little explosion kind of thing. So we want to bring the explosion in. Easiest way to do that is we're going to select all these images, and we're just going to drag them into the scene like that. You'll notice it's automatically saying, okay, you want to create a new animation. So we're going to go ahead and find a folder. So we'll put this in our sprites folder. And there is, I've already created an animation directory. You want to generally kind of keep things in directories here, of course. I'm going to create a folder called demo for this one. All right. And this will have the meta information and things kind of sliced up and so on for this particular animation. And we're going to call this one, this is going to be called explosion. All right, so within the demo folder, we're going to create an explosion animation. Save. And you'll see now I have a sprite where I have an object in the scene that has a sprite renderer on it. And you see by default, the first image on it is the Enemy Death 1, which is this sprite here. But it is also created, at the same time, it has created an animator controller or an animator component here, animator component here. And it has also created a controller called Enemy Death. So if I were to find that folder that I just created, so we'll go look in sprites, where are we? Animations, demo. You'll see in here it has created a state machine, an animator controller, right? A state machine that is potentially going to have, multiple different animations in it. And here's the animation. Here's the explosion animation. And this is a very simple state machine. If I double click on this, you'll see here's the state machine. And all it does, it has this one single animation, and it has go from the entry state directly to this explosion animation. We'll talk about the animator state machine in another video. Let's keep this really, really simple for now. If I double click on the explosion, you'll see here is the explosion animation. You'll see it's open the animation little tab or window here. And I can see, okay, the sprite that's included is our sprite here. And often I like to remind people, go check out the show sample rate. I like to turn that on. So I can see, okay, I'm animating at 12 frames per second. And this is going to be a little explosion here. Now, if I close this, we'll go back to the scene and close this and so on. And I go ahead and play the scene. You'll see immediately that the moment it starts playing, it's going to play that explosion. And that's because the default animation for that is the explosion, right? So here it is in the scene. Enemy Death 1 has an animator on it, which we created when we just dragged that in. It has created this Enemy Death 1 controller. And that controller, if I double click on it, there it is, has that one animation that I created in it, explosion. And we'll talk about multiple things in a future video. So that's the most basic animation. Right? So there it is in the scene. We'll go back to the scene and we press play and it plays its default animation. So even if I move that around anywhere, if I had it animated, give it a rigid body, have it drop, it's just going to play that animation over and over and over again.